It doesn't matter if your beliefs are true or not. It only matters if you believe them. Our beliefs, what we truly believe, and it can be on just level where our beliefs are really deep down beliefs really reside. What we believe about ourselves, what we believe about others, what we believe about the world is how the world shows up. So it's almost like our beliefs are the projector. They're projecting this movie out onto the world, and that's how we experience life. So if I believe I'm not good enough or I'm in lack, then guess what? I'm going to get all of the evidence. I'm going to find all of the spaces. It's going to show up. Oh, there's another example of me not being good enough. There's another example of me being in lack. On the opposite end, if I truly believe that I am empowered and I'm a powerful being and I live in abundance, guess what? I'm going to get all of the evidence showing up in my world. And it's a really simple concept. It's simple, but it's not always easy because it requires a keen awareness of what you're tapping into. What are you buying into? What are your beliefs? And that your beliefs may not be true for anybody else, but they're true for you. There's so many different ways that we can interpret this reality, but really tapping into how do I want my world to show up? And are my beliefs in alignment with that? Because if your world's not showing up how you want it to, check in with your beliefs. What am I believing about myself, the world, others, that is creating this particular set of circumstances around me? It's always an inside job.
And sometimes these beliefs can be so baked in, we can't even see if it's ours or someone else's, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we do the work to distinguish which beliefs are ours, which beliefs are the world's, which beliefs are our parents, and if these beliefs resonate with who we are right now or who we're up to becoming. When we uncouple, get a little bit of distance from this thing that is known as a belief. Do they serve me anymore? Is this really truly what I believe? And over the course of the last several years across the globe, people have been challenged with their beliefs. You know, what they thought was true and what they thought was actual factual sometimes these things are getting shaken in a different way. What these belief structures have been are really getting blurred. So it takes us to say, well, what do I truly believe? And what do I want to create in my world? So when we get a keen awareness, when we bring ourselves to have this awareness around in our lives, we enable ourselves to then reframe what our belief structures will be now. And they can be completely different than what they were a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We don't have to adopt the same belief systems that we've always had. And most importantly, the belief about ourselves, what we're capable of, what we think about ourselves, what our ability to be able to dive into unconditional self-love, what we feel about our enoughness, our acceptance of ourselves. Ultimately, that's most important because from that space, we can start to create our world in this magnificent way. But what we're talking about here is just scientifically proven priming yourself to see the world in a certain way. So in psychology, they talk about priming. They show you something that's red, they give you candy. They show you something that's black, they give you something that's nasty, sludge. So you go out into the world, you see anything that's red, you start to see it, and you're like, wow, that's good, that's good. Anything that's black, you see it as bad. This is priming. So how are we priming ourselves every day to go out into the world? How are we priming ourselves to see ourselves? How are we priming ourselves to see our neighbor? How are we priming ourselves to see our social circles? How are we priming ourselves to see the things that we see on television, what we listen to, what we hear? And if it's in alignment with what we're up to creating our greatest version, we just want to get a clear idea of what we're up to, what we're living into, so that we can start to prime ourselves to be in alignment with that thing. And when we prime ourselves to be in alignment with unconditional self-love, unconditional acceptance, radical empathy, love, light, power, then we start to see that out into the world. And most importantly, again, we see that within ourselves. And that's why we do that work scientifically and spiritually in order to meld those two together to empower each and every one of you and everybody else around us to be in alignment with that greatest version of ourselves. And when we walk out into the space, and everyone's felt it, when you're in flow, in power, you can walk into any room and it's felt. You can walk outside and you are chin up, chest out, feeling confident about yourself because you're in alignment, you're in flow. So that's what we want to bring our conscious awareness, a keen awareness to what our belief structures are. What are we truly feeling about ourselves? And if it's out of alignment, there's no problem here. AAA process shares that we become aware, we acknowledge, and then we act, right? If we're out of balance, we become aware of that. Oh, Jedi mindset training, that's what we're at. Okay, boom, I'm here. I acknowledge that I'm off, no problem. Now I act in that space. What is the space that I want to stand into? Stand up taller. Put your hands on your hips. Tell yourself, get into the mirror. Whatever it's going to be to shake and shift that state in order to then start to prime yourself for stepping into the world and stepping into your life in a magnificent new way.